A new Dawn of War game is coming. I've been ranting, I've been raving about this on this channel now for the past couple of years, and I personally think that this month is going to be the reveal. Why do I say that? Because Gamescom is coming, and something deep down in my golden plums is telling me the time is now. In this video, I want to dedicate it to everything about Dawn of War. I want to give my hopes, my wants, my needs for this next sequel. How can they make this game one of the potential biggest RTS games that has ever hit the 40k IP? Surely, all they have to do is do everything opposite from Dawn of War 3. So let's jump in and let's have a little waffle. Now, to me, Dawn of War is probably one of the biggest RTS games in the RTS genre because I grew up on Dawn of War, the original Dawn of War, Winter Assault, then we jumped to number 2, Retribution, and then sadly we had Dawn of War 3, which at the time I was massively excited for, but we all know how that turned out. It just wasn't a fun game for me personally. The story elements, the design elements in that game, they were just completely just off the scale, and it just didn't work out. And what I'm hoping for now is that lessons have been learned from that previous game, and the next Dawn of War game, I'm going to call it Dawn of War 4. It may be called Dawn of War like Indomitus Crusade, Dawn of War Return of Gilliman, I don't really know. I'm just going to call it Dawn of War 4. I'm hoping the next Dawn of War 4 game takes some of the previous lessons learned from other games, mixes them together, and gives us probably the best Dawn of War experience we've had. Now, I think we should start with one of the big things that every Dawn of War game has, and that is, of course, the story. Every Dawn of War game is a narrative-driven story, and we have features attached to that, multiplayer, last stand, etc., which we'll get into in the latter part of the videos. But let's start with the main story, because it's a really interesting point now to go from. We've got the Indomitus Crusade, we've got Primarch returning, Gilliman, Mortarion, Angron, Fulgrim, right, Magnus, they're all coming back, the Necrons, the Pariah Nexus, the Tau expansion, Gene Stealers, Votan are back on the playing cards now. So it's a really interesting aspect of where this story will take place. Now, first things first, I definitely think it is going to be about the Blood Ravens. It's always about the Blood Ravens, Gabriel Angelos, the Blood Ravens, that inner working story. And we've actually kind of got some new lore already, because with the brand new box game that is just released, where you can only pick it up like at Target and some like other specialized retailers in the US and other parts of the world, it actually states that the Primaris have now reinforced the Blood Ravens. They have now got the Primaris Gene Seed, the Primaris Marine, let's say, inside of their rank. So it's definitely, I personally think, got to take part during this whole Indomitus Crusade. They've got to have Primaris Marines in there, Primaris vehicles, repulsor tanks, maybe an Astraeus will pop up there. One interesting thing I did say on stream about this a couple of days ago is, will this game actually feature Primarchs? Could you actually build a Gilliman? Could you actually build a Mortarion, a Fulgrim, a Magnus? Maybe not in the narrative single player game, but when it comes to multiplayer games, would that be something that you would like? I put that to chat, and most of chat said no. They don't want any Primarchs in this game. Just keep it like Marine level, Chapter Master level, Demons maybe, but no Primarchs they want to see. As for the main foe, personally, I would like them to go against Orcs again. I've always been a massive Orc fan. I think when Marines fight Orcs, it's just brutal, just pure violence, cinematic violence on your screen. Like when you go against Tyranids that we had in Space Marine 2, which I absolutely love, by the way, you just don't really have that narrative story element there because it's kind of hard talking to a Tyranid. Yeah, you could say, die, vile Xenos scum, and it just goes, rawr, back at you. Where if you say, die, vile Xenos scum to an Orc, it's like, you what, mate? Let's go. I'll give you a good crumping. Right? You have that kind of dialogue back and forth when you go against Xenos races like that. It's probably going to be Chaos focused because, of course, Chaos is always intertwined in the stories of Dawn of War, but it could go Necrons. Like I said, there's so many big narratives happening at the moment. If Dawn of War does launch let's say next year. Maybe it could build up into the 11th edition narrative where it is against orcs. Maybe it's going to be all around like the Prior Nexus, what's going on there. You know, you got Magnus there, you got the Silent King there, Belisarius Calls there and stuff like that. We still haven't had an ending to that narrative campaign. Maybe this game will be one of those endings to that narrative aspect of that storyline that's going on right now. But it's really, really interesting, and it's really, really, like... There's so many paths to go down. There really is so many paths to go down, and I think they need to pick the correct one and do that justice. I don't want Tyranids. I think we've had Tyranids for Space Marine 2. Necrons seem a little bit overused at this moment in time, so maybe something like of the lesser races that we haven't seen. Maybe Tau, maybe Leagues of Votann, something like that. Again, Orcs is always going to be a number one for me, but sometimes Orcs are overused in some aspects of the 40k story telling. So, I don't know. Give me your thoughts and feedback. What would you like to see as the main narrative enemy in a new Dawn of War game? Story aside, let's talk about gameplay, squad sizes, the maps and stuff like that. I think, for me, bigger is better. Bigger maps, more awesome maps, more visually stunning looking maps. Like, I go back to like the original Dawn of War game. Base building is a must. I think Dawn of War is all about base building. I was kind of sad in Dawn of War 2 they took that out, because I was like, oh no, this was one of the things I loved. I used to love like building like a wall of turrets, making the most defensible line possible as a Son of Dawn, right? And when we got that taken away from us in Dawn of War 2, again, like I said, it was just... It just didn't feel right. Even though I loved that game, I enjoyed the story to that game, I just wanted that base building aspect. Now, Dawn of War 3 did have base building, but I felt it wasn't connected to the first game. It was just put in there because people wanted base building. I think they need to go back to the core and like you build your base to make your armor. In Dawn of War 3, you put an army out there and it was gone in like a couple of seconds. I want the armies to stay around. I want the armies to feel like it's this massive engagement. You're constantly reinforcing. You're constantly fighting, right? You're holding your ground. There's no bat-flipping Terminators coming out of nowhere and like putting like a Thunderstrike hammer down and wiping out your guys. Like, there's no orbital cannon array sweeping across the battlefield, wiping everything out in 0.5 seconds. I want the center of these epic scale battles, but I want them to last. And I think, again, the base building foundation is all a part of that. So hopefully they can make the gameplay look awesome. They can make it look amazing, not only in the narrative, but also when it comes to multiplayer. Different game modes in multiplayer is a really, really big thing that we need. One thing I will mention, because we talked about gameplay, is mods. Mods, I personally, again, think was a massive factor in the original Dawn of War games, and I think if they were to announce a new Dawn of War game and it didn't really have mod support, I think that would be an absolute slap in the face, to be honest with you, because mods are such a vital part of what made Dawn of War so massive. Like, there's some mods out that are out right now still in the original Dawn of War games that people are flocking to, because the developers of these mods, the fans of these mods, have just kept that game alive. So please, developers, if this does turn out to be true, if there is a new Dawn of War 4 coming, please give us mod support. Now, not to mention Dawn of War 3 too many times, I'm sorry if I am doing, I'm literally using it as a foundation of what not to do in the new Dawn of War game. And something that they didn't do is add a Last Stand mode. Now, Last Stand wasn't in the original Dawn of War game, that came in the sequel of the games, but for me, it was one of the greatest game modes. Me and two friends used to jump in, have these little heroes for people who haven't played it, and used to like kit them out in certain armor. Wave after wave of enemies, you had to survive. If you've got to the end, then you got a bunch of XP, and then you can like just redo your character, like a prestige mode and stuff, which I absolutely max leveled out. But it was a great game mode. It was a fantastic game mode. It was something different from the story to the multiplayer games, where you and your friends could jump on and just put your test of skill with one hero character going around and surviving as long as possible. I think stuff like that, the little touches like that, will make this game truly the best game if it is added. Multiplayer, again, I'm going to go back to original Dawn of War game. That had like a little community with inside of it. Like, it had chat rooms, it had different rooms where you could go set up games. You could edit, like, you know, how many points, how many AI you had in the game, if the AI was like extremely hard and stuff. Like, if you go back to the roots and look at what made the original Dawn of War games great, it's all there. The foundation is all there. Just build on that. Give us those options again. Give the players a choice. That is what I say. Give the players as much choice as possible in these type of aspects of the game, and trust me, people will flood to you. Look what Space Marine 2 did. I think they listened to the fan mostly with that game, and that was a massive success. It was huge. There's certain aspects of Space Marine 2 which I still don't agree with, mainly the PvP area, but that game definitely like jumped on the nostalgia, and it sold millions, multi-millions of games. I think it's like, what, nearly 8 million games sold at this moment in time. I think it's the best-selling Warhammer game there's ever been. Maybe Total War Warhammer may be in there a bit. But yes, you get the drift of what I'm saying. Just go back to the fundamentals, the foundation of what made these games great. And trust me, people will jump in and people will play these games. Anyway, enough ranting and raving about me. I definitely think Dawn of War 4 is coming. I'm sure there's going to be people out there that say, Valrak, you don't know nothing, right? You know nothing at all. Again, I don't know anything. I just know the foil is never wrong. It's never led me astray. And I personally think Dawn of War 4 is in production right now. And I personally think Gamescom is going to be the reveal. I could be 100% wrong, and that is fine, right? Gamescom is not the reveal. But I'm telling you, Dawn of War is coming. Look deep in your hearts, brothers. It is coming. And I know some people are going to say, well, what about Total War Warhammer 40,000, right? Is that not happening anymore? Are they going to put really 2 RTS games out at the same time? Well, that is still happening. Total War Warhammer 40,000 is going to be revealed towards the end of this year. December time, that's when Creative Assembly are doing their own show. If it wasn't for that show, I would be sitting here right now saying that's going to be shown off at Gamescom as well. But now that they've announced that they're doing their own preview live show with a big bunch of titles being revealed, definitely going to be Total War Warhammer 40k there. Some people are saying, well, again, two RTS games, like, are they going to compete with each other? No, because Total War Warhammer 40,000 is going to be a grand strategy game, where Dawn of War is just going to be like, you know, a narrative-driven story campaign. There's place in the market for both of these games. We're both going to buy it. We're both going to play it. We're both going to lose our minds. It's going to be amazing, hopefully, and we are going to love it as Warhammer fans again. Hopefully. Anyway, enough ranting, enough raving, enough waffling for me, as always. I would love to get your thoughts and feedback on this. What would you like to see in the next Dawn of War game? How can they make it absolutely amazing? Make it one of the best RTS games ever to be made? Post it down below. I'm going to have a nice little chin wag down there, as we always do. See you now. Have a great day, and bye-bye.